TFS Podcast. This is our first episode. I've got the one and only Jason Swayze here. Jason's with Cascade Fire Protection, family-owned, right? Firm, second generation?
Yes.
Okay. Firm, 2001.
But I'm not owning it. I'm just the second generation.
You are the second generation. Yes. Okay. Greensboro, where I live, you license North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. And you guys, from your website, you focus on multifamily new construction for sprinklers? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Do you branch in anything else?
We've done churches, we've done community centers, retirement homes, retirement facilities. They're a little different than just the standard multifamily new construction.
Okay. All right. So look, our whole goal, man, is we wanted to find a subject matter expert, which is you, to teach it, basically overeducate us a little bit. And then like at the end of it, I want to know, is there anything like our inspectors in the field, these loss control guys, can see visually, look for that is just an obvious error, an obvious issue that could be a potential claim, right? So anyway, you want to walk us through the types, how they work, how they operate? It's yours.
Okay. The types of what?
Sprinkler systems. So I know we have like wet, dry, and then there's a couple more that we don't really see all that often.
Yes. Yeah. Wet system. It's just the system's full of water, all the pipe, whether or not the pipe is plastic or metal. And then when the head goes off, when the bulb bursts, the water just comes out. They just come out one individual head or whichever ones that the fire, the heat from the fire make the bulbs go off. Okay.
So the bulb breaks certain temperature, water flows from that one, and it's under constant pressure.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then what's wet versus dry then?
Dry, there's no water in the pipes because it's usually an area the pipes and or heads are in an area that could freeze. Okay. So you don't want, because if it's below freezing temperature, then the pipes will break and the system fails even before it has opportunity to work.
Okay. So then if it's dry, you're holding the water somewhere warm, right? And so I remember when I was doing a little bit of research before this to kind of brush up, it was the pipe sizes are smaller in dry systems because they want to get water there a little bit quicker since there's going to be a delay.
The pipe sizes are more just based on the demand at the street, how good the water is.
Okay.
But you might, with a dry system, might want them actually larger than with just because the water would. Dry pipe would then add friction in it because the inside of a wet pipe is already wet, so there's less friction going through it. But then when it's dry,
okay, well that's kind of interesting, man. That's really interesting. All right, and then so one of the things that I did want to ask you about that was a bit much was we were looking at interlocking systems where you had, like you were saying, like a heat sensor, right? And so they would have one with a heat sensor. We talked, and then you also have the glass bulb, right? So glass bulb breaks, but if a glass bulb breaks and the heat sensor doesn't go off, it doesn't move. Do you know what I'm talking about with the interlocking systems at all?
No, I'm not that familiar with the interlocking systems.
Well, because I remember I was reading about it, and there was like temperature settings, and the heat sensor went off at 135, and then these break at 165 or something.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was kind of an interesting dynamic to create, so that way you didn't have these unintended water flows. But I think it had to do with like museums or server rooms or something with really expensive stuff. That's what I was curious on. Yeah. So, all right. So, walk me through here, man. What, like water pressure, stuff like that, are there different standards for it? Because we come in, all right, we're trained, we see the sprinkler head, we find the riser room. If we have access to it, we'll check the tag. And the tag is just, those guys, they do their thing, they run their tests. And then we make sure that it's done annually, right? That's how we look for it. Is there anything when we're in a riser room that we should look for?
Make sure all the valves are open. That's the biggest thing that makes a system not work is somehow the valve got shut accidentally or unlikely on purpose. But it's just. But there are on most systems, each valve should be have a tamper switch or it's monitored some way that it should alarm the monitoring company if the valve is shut.
Okay. And then is there anything on the tamper switch that we should, like, are you looking for like, I don't know, what is it, corrosion?
They're different. Some tampers, they're just wired straight in to the valve. Some we've used in the past, it's a cord that goes through each of the handles in the valves. So like you would have to pull or to shut the valve, it would pull the cord out of this box.
Trigger the alarm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, interesting. So making sure that those are functional and those are there is probably a key point. All right, and then and when it comes to the testing, are they doing those? How frequently should they be tested?
Testing
the riser system. I believe annually.
They do it, yeah, annually. Yeah, a sprinkler. You have to have a special license to test the sprinkler systems annually for inspections. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We're only just in the new construction, but we know sort of about it.
Okay.
And what they look for.
Is there any time that they would test that more frequently? Like, is there a type of risk or something that might have that? Like you mentioned, like an assisted living facility or something. I imagine that's like high risk.
Yeah, it is, but not that I know of.
Okay.
It's just
they don't
once
tend
a year.
Is it a low fail rate for sprinkler systems, I would assume? It seems like a very simple system.
Yeah. Yeah, the things that fail in it, if it would just be accidents, someone breaking a bulb on the head, someone accidentally doing something to the system, or it freezing up.
I was thinking in the motel whenever they hang their clothes from it
yeah,
on the wall,
yeah,
they always have a little sign out.
Don't
yeah,
do
you're
that.
Like, come on, guys, really?
Yeah,
it's really. All right, and then whenever these companies doing these inspections, we've seen a few different ones, and so I was kind of asking the team what they wanted to know, and they said one of the weird things they saw was most of the time it's like a sprinkler system company, but every now and then it'll be just like a plumbing company that comes out there. Is that like a normal thing? I mean, is a plumber is that an overlapping knowledge base?
I don't know how normal that is, but plumbing companies can be a licensed sprinkler company, and they probably you could have multiple licenses, but and the plumbing company probably just goes by their plumbing name, but still has a sprinkler contractor name.
Okay, I gotcha.
Or a sprinkler contractor license.
Okay, and the backflow testing. I don't know anything about this. Do you know anything about backflow testing?
You test that it does. Well, the backflow is the water goes towards the system, from the riser room into the building. The backflow is just preventing the water going back into the city, like underground water.
Okay, all right.
So testing is just making sure it doesn't.
Making sure it doesn't.
Yeah, it holds the water where it's supposed to, because you don't want sprinkler systems. Most of the components in the sprinkler systems, they're not for potable water, and especially if it's steel pipe. Our plastic pipe is potable, but steel pipe, it gets rust and all types of just stuff grows in it, and you don't want that getting into the drinking water.
Okay, I gotcha. That makes sense. That's why we would test that backflow. Okay, I'd always wondered why I was like, if it goes back in there, it doesn't seem like it'd be a big deal. But yeah. I guess I'm wrong on that one.
And you want the system to hold its pressure, because if the backflow is failing, then it's not holding pressure.
Do you know the pressure requirements off the top of your head? Does it vary? I have no idea.
No, there is just in general. There are no there are no pressure requirements. It varies based on the system. However, the demand of the system, some of the stuff we do in multifamily, it's like the max is 4 heads, and even if they're putting out 20 GPM each, so that's 80 GPM total. That's very small compared to if it was a hospital. They could be putting out thousands of gallons per minute, and so it would require a larger pressure, or more likely they have pumps installed at the facility to help boost the pressure in the GPM. Okay,
because we were talking internally, and you get in there and you see all those pressure gauges, and we're like, is there something we should be looking for in a pressure gauge? But I guess it just depends on the risk type.
Well, there's also when you go into the system, there should be a placard on the wall that gives the specifications, the requirements for the system, the minimum flow GPM, the minimum pressure. So that's a good. You look at the pressure, what's written on the placard, and then compare that to the gauges on the system, on the riser.
No, that's really good. I have to look around for that next time I'm in one of those. Because I had, I've seen them, and certain things you just don't know, right? You just have to be kind of like that industry insider, which is part of this, right? We want to know. And then the other thing we were talking about was, in all these riser rooms, there tend to be like a red box in there. A red box, we assume, has sprinkler heads and some various parts in it. Is there anything that's required? Like, should we look at that? Should we open that and be like, hey, you've got 1 sprinkler head in here, and you really need to have a minimum of 4.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the things that the annual inspection looks for, and yeah, the box has a slot for each sprinkler head that is required based on the system size. How many heads are required to go into this? Have spare. So
for each one of those basically custom.
Yeah. Like most of the ones we deal with, it's 6. It's a box of 6 slots, 6 sprinkler heads. If you have sidewalls, you do a few sidewalls and then some pendants, and then you could also you also put in a wrench in that box to remove the sprinkler head, because the sprinklers they need a custom wrench to remove.
What?
It's just a way to charge more money.
Sounds about right. That sounds about right. Oh Lord. All right, and then I saw you brought a couple with you here. Do you want to show us what you have, what we're looking at here?
Okay, sure. This is a pendant. Just goes up, and then it sprays down. The bulb breaks. Water comes off the deflector.
All right, and it's hanging. Does the deflector spin or just stay stagnant?
It's stagnant.
Okay, I always had this thing that it spun in my head. It just looks like in the movies. Okay,
and
what is this glass filled with? Do you know?
Some type of, I assume it.
Okay, and it just expands under the heat, and that's what breaks it?
I don't know the exact, but in there is a bulb, a bubble.
Yeah.
And so yellow is for 175 degrees. If you see red, it's 155, and then it goes up, and then there's green bulbs, blue bulbs. They all make a different temperature rating that the bulb will bust after. But the thing that the color doesn't matter. That's just a visual indication.
Yeah.
But the size of the bulb, or the bubble in the bulb, is how it fluctuates the temperature varying.
Okay. Why? Before we dive into the rest of them, why would we have different temperatures?
Just based on the commodities in the room, or however more flammable things. If you had a warehouse full of paper goods that could just really go up really fast and get really hot, you have a higher temperature for that than versus like an office setting like this would be more the 155 or 175, because it's not a really risk of a high intense fire.
Okay, interesting. All right, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. So pendant.
No. Then got a sidewall.
Okay, that's your motel.
Yeah, it'd be
okay
there. Yeah, and it does the same thing. It just has a bulb. Bulb breaks.
Why do we put a top on this? They don't want to spray the ceiling or something?
Yeah, because you're looking to just spray straight. I mean,
you want distance.
It would go a little high because the pressures will get on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But it's more about especially in residential, it's about getting the walls wet. Mm-hmm. It's just so it's covering that whole area, because assuming the fire is below.
Yeah. Okay, you're trying to stop it from growing up.
Yeah.
Having things. Okay. What we got next?
Next, here's a concealed.
Okay, so this will have the metal cap on the ceiling.
Yeah, this will be
tile. Okay.
the ceiling tiles right here be flush like this, and a cap or a plate will come off, and then this will drop down. And then this one has inside it a link. This is one of the metal links versus a bulb.
Okay.
So like that, just at a certain temperature, there's 2 pieces of metal that are soldered together. When the solder will break away at a certain temperature. Let's this one say 200 degrees is what that one will do.
Okay.
So these are for some people think that the sprinkler head poking out of the wall or the ceiling, it looks bad. Like, whatever. There's still a little.
You have to admit it looks a lot better with the cover on it.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah. If you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
We see them anyway. There they are. But those, the plates tend to fail a lot more often. Like just over time they'll just fall off, or like something can knock them off. They'll just need to be replaced. But it will still work. It just looks like you can see it.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny. All right. You got one more?
Yeah. This is a dry head. So
why is that so massive?
Well, this is the barrel, the dry barrel. So the water pretty much just comes to like right here.
Okay.
And the rest of this could be exposed to the outdoors. So if it froze, if it's within freezing temperatures, it wouldn't freeze the pipe.
Okay, so just like a hose spigot. I was under the impression that a dry system was holding water like off in a different area. I didn't realize it could be that close.
Yeah. Well, okay. Sorry. This isn't involved with a dry system. This is involved with a wet system.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's like in our main line of work in apartments, there are balconies or breezeways that are cold and exposed. So we put the dry heads because we have to sprinkle the balconies and the breezeways. So if you just put one of these, most likely the pipe would freeze here
Right there.
because it's
Okay.
like exposed to the wall.
Okay.
Or,
Exactly. That makes sense. I
so
had
the
just dry
barrel
system in my
the
head.
barrel you could have one this short, like a 1 inch or a 2 inch. You could have one that's 20 plus inches long.
Okay.
Just based on what the need is in the system.
Okay. All right. And then, I mean, the other stuff we really want to know with you, we want to know if you had any crazy stories. You're more than well. I don't know what could be
Crazy
crazy in the
stories.
sprinkler system. Like you walked into some building and saw something just stupid. I don't know. But then the other thing was like anything that our guys could look for that could maybe be like some sort of just glaring issue that they should report immediately. I know that's probably going to be a little bit difficult. There's probably going to be little to nothing on that, but we wanted to ask because it's obviously we're in and out of there. You know, an inspection's like 15 to 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I mean, and sprinkler is just one small part of it. So you're covering a bunch of other different things, right?
Yeah. Well, painted heads. That's actually some. This one's slightly painted. That's why it was taken out. There's a little paint residue on this bulb. That's
So
what you.
painted heads are bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I'll just use this one. Yeah, because if the bulb, this is very minor, but it's still, it could affect the heat sensitivity of the bulb.
Right.
If it's painted, but if it's like covered in white paint, you can't even see the yellow in the bulb. It would take a higher temperature for the bulb to break.
Okay.
And like other parts of the heads, like this part is painted also. Like it demeans the integrity of the sprinkler head.
Okay. All right.
And sure there are other
I know
things.
it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Other things to look for in the system. So are you able to walk throughout the whole structure? Like if
Most of the time. Most of the time we're walking through so a lot of the things that we'll see would be like a warehouse. Mm-hmm. So you'll see it all exposed, right? You'll see all of the metal piping through there. You'll go to the riser room, which is usually just like an enclosed closet kind of thing. You get in, you check the tags. Now I know that I'm going to get in, I'm going to look at the little sign, I'm going to check the pressure gauge, I'm going to open the little box, make sure there's sprinkler heads in there. But normally we go in, we look at the tag, make sure it's done within a year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So most of the time you're saying it's warehouses, so there's no attics. Because sometimes attics could be also a trouble. If there happen to be pipe in the attic, it's supposed to, when it's under new construction, there's supposed to be insulation on top of the pipe. Usually you drape over plastic over the pipe and then insulate on top. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes the plastic just doesn't get up there for some reason. Okay. Insulation issues could especially over time, the insulation could slough down and and then it's not doing its job of keeping the sprinkler system or the pipe from freezing. We've definitely seen that in the past.
Okay.
And insulation in walls as well, but you can't see that.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't be able to access that. Okay. I mean, that's helpful, man. The big thing I think is seeing that control panel in the room, checking out those standards. That's stuff that I wasn't aware was even there. I've never noticed that part of it. So I'm super curious. Next time I go into one, man, I'm gonna just ripping this whole thing apart, taking these photos. I'm gonna be like, hey, man, you only got 4, sprinkler heads in here. It looks like you got 2 extra slots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you get involved with the alarm systems?
We basically look at the system and we ask the insured about, is it covered for burglar? Is it covered for fire? If it is covered for fire, who monitors it? Yeah. We get that kind of information, but we're not doing any kind of deep inspection on it.
Okay.
I think that would be a little bit out of my realm too.
Yeah, that's also something you could, sometimes I'm not even sure exactly because majority of the time in the rise room is also the fire control panel. Yep. For fire alarm control panel. And that's tied into the sprinkler system various ways. So if you want that working as well as helps the sprinkler system.
Yeah, I'd look at that and it'd say status ready, and I'd be like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah, as long as there aren't any red flashing lights or making noise at you.
Exactly. All right, well, perfect, man. Anything else you want to add to this? I mean, that's really, I mean, I think you kind of walked us through what we wanted there. I mean, the wet and dry, that made sense. There was also the pre-action, the deluge, but those are very rare. So you said really
Well,
don't worry about that.
for my line of work, but
Yeah.
will be used with other higher commercial or structures and stuff like that.
Okay, larger.
There's also foam systems. That's another type of system that we don't work with, but
That's kind of wild. When would you use a phone system?
they use them for aircraft hangars. So like
Oh, high fuel or something like that? Would that be like
yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay.
maybe just to protect the rest of the components inside that it's
Can't get
dumping
wet.
on. Yeah,
Okay. That would make sense. You create the foam, it kills the oxygen in the room, that kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay. All right, man. Anything else?
Not that I could think of.
All right, perfect, man. Well, we appreciate you coming.